Thanks for joining us on the CBN News Channel. I'm Charlene Israel. Investigators are finding out more about the bombs that tore through the crowd of spectators at the Boston Marathon. The FBI is still urging the public to come forward with any information that might lead to the capture of the terrorists behind it. Meanwhile, Boston grieves but vows to carry on. It's a major breakthrough in the investigation of the Boston Marathon explosions. Federal investigators say they've recovered the partial remains of one of the bombs. It appears to be a medium-sized pressure cooker, packed with wires, a circuit board, nails, and ball bearings.
It appears that this device may have been dropped in a backpack, either inside the trash cans or right outside the trash cans.
The design was immediately recognized by counterterrorism experts as a type used by al-Qaeda operatives around the world. Instructions on making a pressure cooker bomb were included in an al-Qaeda magazine article called How to Make a Bomb in the Kitchen of Your Mom. But while the design is clearly al-Qaeda's, no individual or group has taken responsibility. Federal investigators are urging the public to come forward with pictures or any other information that could lead to an arrest.
The person who did this is someone's friend, neighbor, coworker, or relative. Someone knows who did this.
As authorities race to find the terrorist before he escapes, Boston remains a city in pain. But despite this time of mourning, residents say they're still Boston strong. Organizers have already announced that next year's Boston Marathon will go on, and locals say they will too.
As an American, my heart is broken. But as a Bostonian, my resolve for the pursuit of freedom and liberty has never been stronger.
We're strong people, and we're not going to let anyone push us around. You mess with one of us, you mess with all of us.
President Obama referred to the bombings as an act of terror on Tuesday. He heads to Boston tomorrow for a service honoring the victims. While investigators piece together clues in the bombings, Boston is remembering the 3 victims who lost their lives. Tuesday, hundreds attended a series of vigils across the city. 3rd grader Martin Richard had just gotten ice cream and was waiting to see his father cross the finish line when he was killed. The boy's mother and younger sister were seriously injured. Richard's dad is thanking friends, family, and strangers for their support. 29-year-old Crystal Campbell also was killed. She was cheering on a friend at the race and had been preparing for her wedding next month. The 3rd person killed was a young Chinese woman who had been attending Boston University as a graduate student. More than 170 others were wounded in the 2 explosions. Police have a suspect in a separate case of possible terrorism. A letter tested positive for the dangerous poison called ricin Tuesday. It was mailed to the office of Republican Mississippi Senator Roger Wicker. Senator Claire McCaskill says the letter was sent from someone who often writes to members of Congress. There was no evidence of a connection to the Boston bombings, but the news dredged up memories of the anthrax scare that followed the attacks on 9/11. A Senate push for new gun control measures is in deep trouble. A growing number of Republicans are opposing it, which could spell defeat. That comes as a new poll shows support for tighter gun control has dropped significantly. In January, 58% supported the move in the wake of the elementary school shooting in Connecticut. Now, just 49% support the idea. North Korea's threats to launch nuclear attacks has done little to shake the resolve of those living on the Korean peninsula. George Thomas has more from Seoul.
This new video released by a pro-North Korean group shows what looks like the White House under attack.
The news images have gripped our television screens for weeks. North Koreans on their march to war against America, South Korea and Japan, with threats of nuclear destruction. But spend an afternoon like I did in Myeongdong, the busy shopping center in the heart of Seoul, South Korea, and you get the feeling the West is more concerned about North Korea than most Koreans.
After so many years of living with their unpredictable neighbor, South Koreans are rather indifferent to the so-called crisis on the Korean peninsula. They've lived with this and they're used to it. And so here you have a regular, normal day on the streets of Seoul.
The shops are full, the streets are packed with people spring shopping, and the traffic in Seoul is still a nightmare.
North Korea We've heard the North Korean rhetoric for years. They blustered last year and the year before and the year before.
It's all too familiar drumbeat to the young and old.
We call it political blackmail. The North Koreans threaten war, and eventually the West and our government will give in to more concessions, more food, more oil, more stuff for them.
But the South Korean government isn't taking any chances. First responders held an anti-terror drill at a subway station in Seoul this week. The exercise simulated a bomb attack by North Korea.
Our military is closely monitoring North Korean military movement and are ready to act. If North Korea takes any kind of self-justified action against South Korea, we will thoroughly and firmly punish them.
Although the North's saber-rattling isn't unusual, some worry that tirades against South Korea and the U.S. have been particularly shrill this year. And unlike in past standoffs, experts worry the North is closer to a nuclear weapon and a long-range missile capability.
We've become numb to the threats, and that's not good. This time is also different because we're dealing with new leadership in North Korea, and that should concern us.
South Koreans are clearly not oblivious to what's going on in the North, but for now, though, life goes on, but with the constant reminder of a neighbor that's regularly bent on getting the world's attention. George Thomas, CBN News, Seoul, South Korea.
Back here in the U.S., the family of a woman who died at a Philadelphia abortion clinic is testifying at the trial of the doctor accused of killing her. 41-year-old Kanamayer Mangar fled war-torn Bhutan. She died after seeking an abortion at the clinic run by Dr. Kermit Gosnell. Gosnell is also charged with killing 7 babies born alive at his clinic. Mangar's daughter testified about the labor-inducing drugs and painkillers her mother received. Prosecutors believe Gosnell's untrained and unlicensed staff gave her a lethal combination of drugs and failed to properly monitor her. She died at a hospital the next day. The family has filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Gosnell. The wife of U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder has ties to a controversial abortion clinic in Georgia. The conservative newspaper Human Events has uncovered that Sharon Malone Holder and her sister co-own the building that houses the clinic. Dr. Tyrone Cecil Malloy was an abortionist there. He was indicted on Medicaid fraud back in 2011 and reprimanded twice by a state medical board. The story raises questions about a conflict of interest for Eric Holder. For example, he has not prosecuted other abortionists accused of violating federal law. Holder's sister-in-law denies that they directly owned the property, but Watchdog.org reports they transferred ownership to a family trust. A Hawaii bed and breakfast has lost a discrimination lawsuit filed by a lesbian couple. The couple sued Aloha Bed and Breakfast after the owner said that she was uncomfortable with them staying at her home because of her religious views. A judge ruled in favor of the couple and ordered the bed and breakfast to stop discriminating. The lawyer for the bed and breakfast says that the ruling fails to acknowledge the First Amendment rights of the owner. Coming up, remembering the Christian faith and iron principles of Margaret Thatcher.
Today we're on a field trip to discover what inflation is doing to our paper money. In this hand is a $20 bill, and in this hand is a $20 US gold coin. They used to have the same buying power, but how much can they buy today? In this first basket is what my $20 bill buys: milk, bread, peanut butter, and jelly. And here's what one $20 gold coin will buy: 6 baskets full, worth nearly $2,000, almost 100 times more food, simply by owning gold dollars instead of paper dollars. History shows that the gold coins have been the best way to beat the rising cost of living. So class, the moral is that unless you want to live on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the future, you should turn some paper dollars into gold coins now. How and why is explained in a new book, The Great Debasement. Call the number below for a totally free copy. And that's the simple truth.
Help! If an emergency happened right now, you can have help at the push of a button with Medical Alert.
Remember when I took that fall, Mary?
Oh, yes, that was terrible.
Yes, it was.
Help!
And I thought, what if you hadn't been there? I ordered my Medical Alert the next day.
I can't describe how safe I feel now with my Medical Alert. You didn't know I was wearing it, did you?
Medical Alert is easy to install, waterproof, and covers you inside your home and out.
It helps me feel safe from fires, break-ins.
And of course, a medical alert. And if you don't have a home phone, don't worry. They have that covered.
There's always help at the push of a button. Don't wait till you need it.
Get Medical Alert for less than $1 a day. There are no long-term contracts. Order now and get your second button free. Call for your free brochure.
For your free Medical Alert system with second button free, call 800-575-8507.
From CBN.
Broken Eardrum is playing at the Civic tonight.
And you'll just have to miss it.
This is so incredibly unfair.
A special story of love and sacrifice.
Joy, Mom comes up with something.
Christopher Quantum, you and I are going to discuss your attitude right this minute. Superbook.
No.
Join the Superbook DVD Club and get Superbook's newest episode, He is Risen. Plus 2 copies to share with others. All for your gift of $25.
They have arrested Jesus, the Messiah. Do you not know that I have the power to crucify you?
No! Please! You can't! They've taken him to Golgotha. We must hurry. Mary is about to lose her son. The worst thing any mother could face. I am not leaving her.
Superbook. It's an amazing way to build a strong spiritual foundation in the children you love.
Mary, who are you looking for?
I've seen him! He is alive!
Superbook. He is Risen. Available now.
George Beverly Shea, the gentle voice that preceded thousands of evangelistic messages by the Reverend Billy Graham, has passed on. Shea sang for more than 200 million people in his 60 years of performing at Billy Graham crusades. He often sang a peaceful hymn before Graham preached because he said the evangelist loves the quiet before he speaks. Shea met Graham in Chicago in 1947. Together, they preached the gospel across the nation and the world. Graham said Shea was, quote, one of the most humble, gracious men I have ever known and one of my closest friends. I loved him as a brother. Shea recorded dozens of gospel music albums and won a Grammy Award in 1965. He was nominated 10 times. George Beverly Shea was 104 years old. Former UK Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher is being laid to rest today with full military honors. World leaders and dignitaries from 170 countries are attending the funeral at St. Paul's Cathedral in London. Queen Elizabeth II and her husband Prince Philip are among the mourners. Thatcher was nicknamed the Iron Lady during her 11-year tenure as Prime Minister. She's known for transforming Britain by privatizing state industries, deregulating the economy, and causing upheaval whose impact is still felt. Thatcher died on April 8th at the age of 87. As Margaret Thatcher is laid to rest, many are reflecting not only on her political legacy, but also on the Christian principles that she lived by. Our UK correspondent Peter Wooding spoke with some key Christian leaders who knew Baroness Thatcher and testified to her strong faith.
While Margaret Thatcher will be remembered for her political legacy as Prime Minister for 11 years, many leaders have been highlighting the Christian values she stood for as a committed believer. Baroness Thatcher, who grew up in the Methodist Church, died of a stroke at the age of 87. Lord William Carey, who was the Archbishop of Canterbury during her time as Prime Minister, said Margaret Thatcher's Christian faith underpinned everything she stood for as a leader, which was epitomised in her famous speech when she quoted from St. Francis of Assisi.
Well, she was a very explicit Christian. I mean, in that famous statement, Francis of Assisi, she was actually saying, these are the values I want to live my life by, you know. She had attended services. She was a very faithful Christian, brought up as a Methodist. I think she was open to all traditions in the Protestant tradition, and she was a very faithful person of prayer as well.
Baroness Caroline Cox, now a well-known campaigner on behalf of the persecuted church, remembers the time she was summoned to number 10 Downing Street by Margaret Thatcher to be told that she was being recommended to become a peer in the House of Lords.
I had no idea why I was there. And she said, well, I'm preparing a list of recommendations to be given to Her Majesty the Queen for life peerages. May I have your permission to put your name on that list for a recommendation for the House of Lords? Well, I was glad I was sitting down, because I would certainly have fallen down with amazement if I'd not been sitting down. But then what was really impressive was she said, you know, you've always got freedom to speak and vote according to conscience.
Baroness Cox also believes Margaret Thatcher was driven by her Christian principles, particularly when she was campaigning for Christianity to be taught in schools.
I think she was very clear in those Christian values. One of the areas where I was active in the 1980s was trying to bring Christianity, the teaching of our Christian heritage, back into the teaching of religious education in our schools. And I think I had a lot of support in the House, and I think Margaret Thatcher gave me a lot of personal support.
For 15 years, Harvey Thomas directed missions in the UK for Billy Graham, before serving as Margaret Thatcher's Press and Public Relations Director from 1978 to 1991. Thomas, who miraculously survived a terrorist bombing attack in 1984 that was meant for Baroness Thatcher, says she was a giant among politicians and statesmen.
She didn't mind a good argument any time, but she knew what she believed in, and that's what she set out to do. And that's what put her above many other politicians, even of her own age, and certainly above the vast majority today, who have no idea what they want to do. And if they did, they wouldn't know how to do it.
Thomas says despite the pressures she faced, she never compromised her Christian principles.
I think the thing that she said to me most of all in, 13 and a half, nearly 14 years, was, no, we've got to do it this way because it's right. Now, whether she was or not, people have the right to judge, and history will judge. But her motivation was because she believed it was the right thing to do, and that's why she did it. Now, that came from her Christian faith.
Thomas says even Ronald Reagan told him he was inspired by the legacy Margaret Thatcher was creating for Great Britain, which continues to have an impact on society today.
He said, you know, what I want to do in the United States is what Margaret Thatcher's starting to do in the United Kingdom, to get the government off the backs of the people. And basically that was a big theme behind. Let the people be independent. Let them have something to leave to their children, hence the sale of council houses. Let there be not just strikes anywhere, but proper democratic processes in the trade unions, hence the trade union reform processes. Let the government not pay unnecessary bills for people laying about doing nothing, hence the privatisation programmes.
And her strong belief in God and her adherence to Christian values inspired her policies. Lord Carey suggests it was her commitment to those universal truths that left a lasting impact on Great Britain and led to the end of the Cold War. He says despite his sadness at her passing, he is reassured that her quality of life is now far greater in heaven.
Well, I feel a sense of sadness because she was a great leader, but her mind was going. No one could actually regret she's passed away. There's no quality of life left, sadly. So we as Christians believe that when we die, we're with the Lord, and that we take for granted that is where she is.
So as the country pays their respects during Margaret Thatcher's funeral taking place in St Paul's Cathedral today, many will remember that unlike many of those who succeeded her, she refused to bend and compromise those beliefs which helped make Great Britain great. Peter Wooding for CBN News, London, England.
Up next, ministering in a meltdown, how one Greek church is reaching out in Athens.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
A top Turkish pianist and composer faces jail time after being convicted of blasphemy and inciting hatred. Faisal Say was accused after a series of comments he made on Twitter. His tweets included jokes about a religious leader and Islamic practices. They were deemed as insulting to Islam. He'll have to serve prison time if he commits a similar offense within the next 5 years. Some are calling Greece a failed state since its economy has been flattened. A new fascist movement is growing. Dale heard reports from Athens on one church that is ministering amidst that breakdown.
In the Greek town of Rafina, members of the fascist group Golden Dawn march into a market used by immigrants to sell their wares. Golden Dawn checks for business permits, then destroys the stands of those who can't produce a document. One of the leaders of the raid, who is also a sitting parliament member, said they did it to honor the Virgin Mary. Greece's economic meltdown is causing society to unravel, and some are looking for scapegoats. Greece is one of the main entry points for illegal immigrants into the European Union. And a new report by Human Rights Watch says the number of attacks on foreigners in Greece is surging. The only thing worse than being in Greece during the economic crisis is being a refugee or an immigrant. The economic collapse has turned many Greeks against outsiders, especially from non-Western nations. We interviewed immigrants in Athens who hide in their apartment to keep from being attacked. They escaped from Afghanistan but now want to go home, saying coming to Greece is the biggest mistake they ever made.
We ran away from the Taliban, and now we're stuck in something worse than the Taliban. With the Taliban, we would be dead and it's over. Here, it's torture every day.
At Glyfada Christian Center near Athens, Arno Lankar and his wife Sahar minister to immigrants.
The people you talk with, they have a fear which they didn't have before. They are hesitant to come out of their houses in certain areas because they know that suddenly somebody might come up and beat them up.
Golden Dawn's official support is now between 10 and 12%, but is probably higher. The fear is that the economic situation will get so bad that Greeks will choose a new radical way, the way of Golden Dawn.
I think there's a growing frustration, just that sense that the country's being lost, whether that's being lost to foreigners or it's being lost, to history.
At Glyfada Christian Center, pastors Brian Vandevetter and Gail Stathis minister in a society that is breaking down, and to church members who could be at risk to far-right violence.
Greeks are feeling less in control of their own lives, and I think anywhere that happens, you have a rise in these kinds of things.
We kept talking in the church that there's no crisis with God. We really must trust Him because He has promised us that we're not going to go to bed begging bread, that we will have what we need for the day.
Dangerous times could be ahead for these Christians and for a lot of Greeks if Golden Dawn ever rises to power. Greece is on the edge of a free fall. The national debt is now larger than the economy, which continues to shrink. 67,000 businesses will go bankrupt this year alone, and the unemployment rate has reached 24%.
I would say at least half of our men are out of work, and those that have kept work have had reduced pay or haven't been paid in several months.
Pastor Gail says she senses a spirit of chaos in Greece, but one that the Lord is using.
I think it's because there's so many forces and dynamics coming together at one time, and God really is sticking His finger in and kind of, pushing the Bruce. because it's been so it's really been just a cultural identity to be a Christian here for hundreds of years.
And this church is in position to be a light to a nation in crisis, and where believers from many nations can show their love for one another and for the nation of Greece. Dale Hurd, CBN News, Athens.
When you're driving along and your cell phone rings, do your eyes instantly go off the road? Then you need to get a grip. Hi, David Jones here with the new Grip Go, the most versatile hands-free mount that will instantly grip any phone for safe driving. Just attach the suction cup to your windshield or dash, and Grip Go grabs your phone ultra fast. Then it peels right off. And don't worry, there's no sticky residue left behind. The 360-degree pivoting mount allows you to always get the perfect viewing angle. It's even strong enough to grab and hold this expensive smartphone out the window. Yet it comes right off with ease. That's the advantage of Grip Go. You can get the amazing Grip Go with dashboard mount for only $14.95. We'll send you a second kit free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Get 2 complete Grip Go systems for just $14.95.
To order Grip Go for $14.95 plus processing and handling, call 1-800-709-5259 or order online at getgripgo.com.
Jim is 38, mortgage, married, 3 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. Jim can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $19 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll comparison and shop the pick of insurance companies like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. Jim's wife, Deidre, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Some good news for parents of preemies. A new study finds that live music and lullabies may have positive health effects on premature infants. Researchers at Beth Israel Medical Center found live music can lower heart rates and provide better sleep. They studied the effects on 272 preemies in 11 different neonatal units.
When infants were exposed to live music, they had lower heart rates and better sucking behaviors and better sleep. They also had parents sing lullabies to their children, and when parents were singing to their children, those babies fed better, had better sucking behaviors, and the parents had lower levels of anxiety and stress.
That's awesome news, and complete findings for this study are in the journal Pediatrics. Well, that's going to do it for the CBN News Channel. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com. We hope you'll join us next time. Have a great day. God bless.
If you had a choice between going bald and a full head of hair, which would you choose? Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
Yes!
You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real, naturally growing hair. When it comes to hair restoration, no one in the world has more experience than Bosley. The results look completely natural and are affordable on nearly any budget. But the entire process can't be explained in 60 brief seconds. So to find out more about this clinically proven and permanent solution to hair loss, call now to receive your free no-obligation information kit. It'll answer all of your questions about hair loss and hair restoration. Plus, we'll also send you this $250 gift certificate just for calling. Every day you wait, you're losing more hair. So don't put it off any longer. You owe it to yourself to find out the facts. Choose hair. Choose Bosley.
Call 800-868-9957. That's 800-868-9957. Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.